Welcome to another session of Can We Talk? I am your host and a biblical instructor, Douglas Kerr. Today, our Can We Talk session takes a personal note. I've had the experience of having two members of my family born with what is referred to in the clinical circles as SPMI, severe persistent mental illness. But before I go on, our text today comes from 1 Corinthians chapter 13. It says, "Though I speak with the tongues of men and of angels and have not charity, I am become a sounding brass and tinkling cymbal." What the verse is telling us today is that unless we have love, no matter what we do means nothing. My son and ex-wife both had SPMI, and it was a struggle for them with the challenges that they've had. The resulting SPMI was partly the cause of my son being incarcerated. And because it was so devastating to my own family and home, my ex-wife, you notice that I say, it led to the divorce of my wife and myself. And as I said, it resulted in my son being incarcerated. I had an opportunity to serve on a committee for my company, which is a human services organization. And I had the opportunity to go before the Appropriations Committee. And I'm going to do a paraphrase of the appeal that I made to the Appropriations Committee in order to try to get them to furnish or to supply funding for companies such as my organization that needs the funds in order to help people who suffer from SPMI. When I got there before the Appropriations Committee, I introduced myself and I made it clear to them. They said, I have two members of my family that suffered with SPMI. I gave them the experience of my ex-wife whose voices in her head was so pronounced that it kept telling them or telling her that she needed to make me confess to something that I did not do. And when I would not confess, the voices became so pronounced in her mind that she finally threatened to take a gun and blow my head off. And that led to the ending of our relationship because I was ignorant of what SPMI really meant. Also, my son, as he was incarcerated, dealing with the voices in his head, they diagnosed him as schizoaffective disorder. He said to me, and he appealed to me, he said, "Dad, can God get rid of these voices?" He says, "If God won't get rid of these voices, I'm going to do it for myself." And he attempted at that point to commit suicide twice. Thirdly, my daughter came to me, and when she saw what was happening in our family, she looked at me and she said, "Dad," she said, "am I going to be crazy like my mom? Imagine having to give your daughter an answer to that question." And then I summarized my appeal this way. I said to them, I says, unless you take action, the next time I encounter my wife, she will succeed at blowing my head? Will the third time for my son be the time that he succeed in killing himself? Well, this morning, the sad news that I have to report to you is that my son is dead. He died in the correctional institution. And I have been waiting for almost 2 years in order for me to hear why my son died and the condition and circumstances that led to his death. I have reached out to the correctional system, and I reached out and received the name of the person in charge, Director Antonio Santiago. When I made my appeal to Director Antonio Santiago, it's been over a year since my son passed away, and an investigation that should have taken 3 months was now in more than a year out. And so I appealed to him. I said, I need to understand what happened to my son. Why did my son pass away? What was the reason for his passing? And Director Santiago, as a matter of factly, says to me, "Well, listen, I have no answer for you. However, other people are waiting longer than you." And the idea is like, get in line. Somebody else is out there waiting longer than you. Wait your turn. And that cold response, that lack of love and understanding for the need of a father to understand why his son passed away seemed so cold and unfeeling, unloving, that I also reached out to the commissioner of the Department of Correction. He did not answer my call, but I left a voicemail for him. He then called someone who called me to assure me that his priority is that he's going to resolve these things and to get me an answer as soon as I need it. We're now going into the second year. My son passed away in 2017, December 11th. We're coming on December 11, 2019, and I still have no answer because Director Santiago and others like Director Santiago think that my son doesn't matter. And because they lack the love that they need to have and the concern that they need to have, at least that's how they portray themselves. Don't know Director Santiago. I only know him by the encounter that I had with him. And first impressions are a lasting impression, and that's the impression I've got of him. And the second time I called Director Antonio Santiago, he didn't bother to answer the phone. He had his secretary just relate to me the case is still open. 2 years. An investigation that should have taken 3 months is now taken 2 years, and I still have no answer to my question. Why am I telling you this today? I'm telling you this because there are a lot of folks out there that claim that they care about others and they care about the problems that others are having. As I said, my family had 2 individuals that had SPMI, severe persistent mental illness. I myself had to deal with issues of homelessness, of being without a job, with being in need. And so what has happened is myself, along with a few wonderful individuals, have started a 501c. After I made that appeal to the Appropriations Committee, would you believe that it just kept going, and they did not take any steps to fund beyond a certain point the people who needed the help in the community. There are people who need counseling. There are people who need food. There are people who need clothing. There are people who need somebody to reach out to them in their difficult situation and circumstances. And so myself and these few individuals began a 501c3. It is called Community Chess Request Foundation, and the website is www.communitychessrequests.org. www.communitychessrequests.org. I'm appealing to you today. Director Santiago had no love for my son, and maybe he should not, or maybe he should. The difference is, if it was Director Santiago who was on the other side of that phone, and he was calling me about his child, how would he have wanted me to respond? So today, I'm asking you to help me. Go on to www.communitychessrequests.org and give a donation to this organization. We're there to help our community. This program is a community-based, biblically based, Christ-centered, community-based program. We have every desire to reach out into our community and to help others who are having the same issues. We pledge that we will have integrity. We will use your funds for what you donate them for. We are asking you to help us to first purchase a building so that we're able to house all the services that we provide. Again, we provide counseling. We provide services for food, for clothing, for diet, financial needs. If there are those out there who are having issues trying to find a place to live, we have individuals in this organization who are ready to help you. We have a real estate firm. We also have an organization that reach out to the homeless and feed them on a weekly basis, where we ourselves, we're down on Albany Avenue. And every other Saturday, we are serving the community by giving out food, giving out clothing, by sharing with others how they can get the services they need. We continue to reach out in other ways to form MOUs, Memorandum of Understanding, with other organizations, so that if other organizations have the same desire to serve our community and we can help in a capacity that will help them to serve the community they're working in, we will help them also. So I'm appealing to you, please love your community, love your family, love your individuals. People like Antonio Santiago and the politicians that are there in our community, they speak good, but I'm told that actions speak louder than words. One of the senators that represents my community where I live, our committee went to him, and he was on his way to another meeting, and he said, "Oh, I'll come back and see you after this meeting." He went away to his meeting, and our committee, our group, stayed and waited for him. And what happened was, when he came out of the meeting and saw that we were still there, he made a beeline to another room. That's how much he cares. But yet I will receive an email from him inviting me to a breakfast so that we can discuss issues that are important to him. I need that individual to understand that if what is important to me is not important to you, then what's important to you cannot be important to me. The Bible says that we must love one another. In verse 7 it says, love bears all things, believes all things, hopes all things, endures all things. We're here to endure with you. We're here to bear all things with you. We believe that God can do anything but fail. And so we are asking for your help in our community today. Verse 13 says this, and now abideth faith, hope, charity, these three. But the greatest of these is charity. If my situation resembles your situation, if today you find yourself in need, rent-wise, you find yourself on the verge of being homeless, if you find yourself on the verge, no job, no support, no counseling, we're asking you to help us to help you. Go on to www.communitychessrequest.org. It is Community Chess Request Foundation. You can read about us and understand how the organization began. You can see the officers that are there. We are a registered 501c3, and you're able to donate your funds and able to write it off on your taxes if that is your desire. I've approached a lot of people. They just want to do good. They don't care about writing it off, but we've made it so that if you would like to take advantage of the opportunity of writing it off on your taxes, you can do so. You can volunteer your time, you can volunteer your money, you can volunteer clothes or something. We have reached out to Home Depot, and Home Depot is willing to provide us with a wash and a dry so that those folks on the street that we are ministering to, we have in this building that we're trying to purchase with your help. We have a shower upstairs where when they come in, they can get a shower. We have a kitchen that we can give them food to eat. We have folks who are willing to give them a bar, and while they're here, we will wash their clothes so that they're able to go back out and they can feel good about themselves. Won't you help me to do that for more? Won't you help me to do that for even you? Just go online. Give what you can. A little bit goes a long way, and I'm asking you to help by putting this on your Facebook, by putting it on LinkedIn, by putting it on your social media, whatever items you use, whatever methods you use for social media. Remember, and now abideth faith, hope, charity, these three, but the greatest of these is charity. And the Bible says charity is love. And without love, it is impossible to please God. So please God today by helping me with our 501c3 Community Chess Request Foundation. www.communitychessrequests.org.